I wasn't in there then, but I was in there for your most recent meeting with the Ukrainian leader, Vladimir Zelenskyy.
Yep.
Your moment in February, it was contentious. In retrospect,
putting it mildly.
In retrospect, do you wish that that had went differently? And has anything changed between you since then? Has your opinion changed?
You mean between my relationship with President Zelenskyy? I mean, look, we've had a number of conversations. They've always been positive conversations. And look, sometimes people disagree. So you ask, would I change anything? I mean, do I wish that we had had a blow up in the Oval Office in public? Not necessarily. But do I think that it actually elucidated some of the real issues of disagreement between the United States side and the Ukrainian side? Yes. And I think that was useful for the American people to see. And I think we'll continue to have these conversations. And look, there are a lot of issues of agreement between the United States and Ukraine. There are occasionally some issues of disagreement between the United States and Ukraine. And what always really bothered me about this relationship was not the Ukrainians as much as it was the American side, specifically the Democratic administration of Joe Biden. I mean, Zelenskyy would come to Washington. He'd leave with a $50 billion or $100 billion without any real goal, any real diplomacy, any real sense of what we were going to buy with that $100 billion. And that was always what frustrated me. Far more than Zelenskyy was asking for help from Washington, it was that the Biden administration had no plan for how to end the war, no real credible theory for how giving another $100 billion would solve the problem. And it just felt like this weird money pit where we'd throw money after the problem without any real plan to solve the problem. That always really frustrated me. But look, we've had a number of good conversations, both me and the President of the United States with President Zelenskyy. We're going to keep on working for peace. And our goal, I think, just to step back a little bit, is very clear. And I think on this issue, we're pretty aligned with President Zelenskyy, even though we have some disagreements. We, of course, want to protect Ukraine's territorial integrity. We don't want Russia to conquer the entire country. We also want the killing to stop and think the war has reached a point where the Russians aren't really accomplishing anything by continuing to fight. The Ukrainians aren't really accomplishing anything. What's best for everybody, including the United States, would be to stop the killing and bring this thing to a peaceful settlement.
John Bolton, John Brennan, James Comey, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, they're all among the current and former officials the administration is now investigating. Does the president have an enemies list?
No, not at all. I think the president has a view that we should enforce the law, and if people broke the law, then of course they should face some prosecution for doing so. All the people that you named, they're at some level of investigation. But unlike the Biden Department of Justice, what the President of the United States has told his Department of Justice is let the facts and the law drive these decisions. If you do these investigations and it's determined that nobody broke the law, then of course you don't prosecute anybody. But if you have people who broke the law, if you have people who violated the public trust, if you have people who mishandled critical information in a way that harmed the American people, and they've committed a violation of the law in the process, of course you've got to prosecute people. I think unless you prosecute people who broke the law, you don't have a real constitutional republic. So no, the president has been willing, frankly, to pardon people from the other side of the political aisle. In my hometown of Cincinnati, P.G. Sittenfeld was prosecuted by the last Department of Justice. The president issued that pardon. He's sort of a famous Democratic official. This is not about politics. This is about the law. And if the president thinks a person has been unfairly prosecuted, he'll pardon that person or commute their sentence. If he thinks a person has violated the law, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, he's going to encourage his Department of Justice to go after that person.